Test, test.
Testity test, test.
All
test,
good,
test.
all good?
All good, all good.
All good in the hood.
Oh, yeah.
I'm clean and he's sore.
And dirty.
And dirty.
Yeah. Oh, it feels good to sit down. This is the first time sitting down all day.
Yeah?
Other than kneeling. Doing a lot of squatting and kneeling and on my knees.
That's what kneeling is. It's on your knees.
That's a good point, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it feels good to sit. Whew. Hi, everybody.
Hello. It is it's a long day for you.
It was a long day today. Yeah, I did get a little bit of a late start, but it's been a long day.
Yeah.
Lots of going.
Yeah.
How was your day?
My day was good.
We haven't really seen each other. This is pretty much
Like the third time all day. But for
the span of the video so far, the length is the longest we've seen each other today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just been like, hey. Yeah,
Here she comes.
here she comes. She's already been fed, so it's not because she's hungry. It's because she's like, Daddy's home.
Yeah.
Daddy hasn't been in here all day. Yeah, I'm working on cooking right now.
Smells good.
I've been making black beans from dried beans, so obviously that takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And so been working on that all day. I just added a bunch of garlic, onion, bay leaves, cumin, what else? Salt and pepper. And I put some paprika and some Old Bay seasoning. So put a lot of stuff in it because the last time I made black beans, I think I was a little nervous to put too many flavors in it, and they didn't have a lot of flavor to them. So I was like, this time I'm gonna go for it. So we'll see.
That fan is so loud.
Yeah, it is so loud. I was talking really loud. Now I don't have to. That was the heater that just turned off. And then I've got some ground turkey thawing out, and I was planning on taking some tortillas and baking them to make a shell and making a taco salad with guacamole, making some guacamole out of the avocados, having some salsa, and then
that sounds good.
The meat and the beans and cheese and all of the good stuff. So that was my plan.
I'll have 4.
You'll have 4.
I'll have 4.
You won't be able to eat 4. They're going to be like this.
I'll have 2.
They're going to be good. 1 is probably going to do it for you. But there should be enough for... I made enough beans because I want to thaw... I keep forgetting to grab the chickens to thaw them out, but I want to thaw out a couple chickens and make some broth from those roosters. There's just not a lot of meat on them, so I was going to make some broth and make a couple soups out of them. And I was going to use the black beans because I was going to make a tortilla soup. And then I think we have a little bit of corn still in the freezer. I think I have 1 bag left. I hope I have 1 bag left because I was going to make a tortilla soup. But we'll see what we have. If not, I'll just make a chicken and dumpling, a chicken and rice, and probably a chicken and lentil. And then I'll freeze some of it so we have some. Because it's getting chilly again.
Yeah, it's gonna get cold. It's dipping down. Today was 13 degrees colder than yesterday.
Yeah.
But yesterday was hot. It was like 62 degrees.
Yeah, yesterday was weird. I went outside with I woke up and I was like, oh, I gotta feed the chickens that the gentleman was gonna pick up, because I always want to make sure that they have plenty of food in there while they're waiting to be picked up. I put on a jacket and I walked outside and I was like, it does not need I should have looked at the temperature thermometer. It's right as we have it right by the door, so you can always check. And
our weather station.
Our little weather station. But man alive, it was toasty. Oh, did you get my tie?
No, we're not. That's not for you. No, that's not for you. Go get your R2.
Get your R2. Oh, good girl.
There you go. Good job.
She has an R2-D2 toy that I got on clearance at Lowe's, of all places, to get dog toys. And she loves it.
She does.
She doesn't chew it up or anything. It's actually very durable, the brand, but I don't remember what brand it is, or should I tell y'all, but it's a little R2-D2. It's super cute. So how was your day, babe?
Eventful. I'm going to start with the last portion of my day and then end with the first portion of my day because I have a story to tell.
Of course you do. would it?
What good am I if it's not for telling stories?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
I have lists of things that you're good for.
Oh, well, thank you. That's great. All right. So let's just follow up from yesterday. Did just really quick? Did you order lamps?
I did not.
Okay. So that's still.
We talked about that.
I know we did.
Okay.
But they don't know.
They don't know. Yeah. So the lamps that I like for the living room are not going to work on the sloped ceiling. So
Oh, that's too bad.
what I decided is I'm just going to order the dining room lamp, the Sputnik.
There's not lamps. What are they called?
They're pendants.
Pendants. Okay. Pendant
You
lamps.
keep calling them lamps, so I'm just going with lamp.
Pendant lights.
Yep. So chandelier, pendant light, whatever you want to call it. They go by both. So I'm going to order the one for the dining room that I like. And then I'm not going to order anything for the living room. I talked to Nate about it today and just said, hey, are you cool if we just skip lights in the living room for now? Because I'm terrified that we buy something and we either don't like it, it's just too big, and we drill the hole and then the hole's there and then we're obligated to fill it. So I'd rather just say, you know what, let's just leave the ceiling plain. I like the way it looks. I've never had lights in the ceiling of any living room I've ever lived in my life. So why start now? Let's just use lamps.
Because we're
and
elevated.
things. Because we're elevated. So I just figured
That wasn't a knock on anybody without lights in their ceiling of their living room. That was just a dumb comment.
it was a very dumb comment. But yeah, so I just figured I didn't understand it. So
All right, so we're just going to do floor lamps for now.
floor lamps, shelf lamps.
yeah.
Nate went ahead and put some plugs higher up onto the wall where I want the built-in. So that'll give us the opportunity to have lamps up a little higher that are just little small lamps, which I already own. So it's more stuff that we don't have to spend money on. So I'd rather not spend $300 on something that I'm not sure I'm gonna like. And I hate returning stuff. So I'd rather, if I'm sure I'm gonna buy it,
All
just gonna buy it.
So in our ventures of shopping for things, whatever, if we see something we like, we'll buy it. But otherwise, we'll just.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine by me.
if we see something that we're like, oh my gosh, this is it, this is the perfect one, then we'll get it. Or if we decide down the road that it's like, you know what, these lamps just aren't cutting it. We really do need light.
The wires will be there waiting.
They will be there. So many more wires will be there waiting because it is wired to have 5 lights per side.
Hey,
Better have it than not need it, than need it and not have it, right?
that's right.
All right.
Okay. Furthering on to yesterday's catch-up, I did start working on removing the subfloor out of the. Nope, I'm going to start this direction. We got the faucet hoses connectors, and I got the sink in the master bathroom working. So that's exciting.
That is, it works.
So it's a functional bathroom minus there's no tub, but
the water pressure is weird, but
the water pressure is weird on that one, but I'll figure that out later.
yeah.
So then I continued on and I started removing the subfloor in the hallway
I
bathroom.
thought you were going backwards to forward.
Well, yeah, this is the last portion of my day is removing that subfloor.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so I got, I would say 90% of it removed, which is a very good progress because there was a lot of oscillating tool cutting around edges
Yeah.
with a dull blade. But I got to listen to podcasts and some music and just kind of chill. It was pretty nice. Yeah, so Jim's coming tomorrow, and I'm going to have him start working on getting the attic access door going because I need one more day to be ready for help with him putting the new subfloor on. So I need to cut out the rest of the subfloor, put some blocking in place, remove the remaining copper plumbing out, put the PEX plumbing in, and then replace the flange, the toilet flange, to be the proper sweep flange, 90-degree sweep, as opposed to a 90-degree corner.
Yeah, it's wrong toilet flange.
Yeah, wrong flange, wrong sweep. All right, let me tell you about this morning.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, I haven't even told you.
I know.
This is a story for all of us to...
90% of the stories that he tells on this channel, I have not heard yet.
Okay, that's fair enough. So this is going to be a story for all of us to enjoy or not enjoy. You decide. Okay, it started with...
Like any other day.
It really did. Taking the dogs for a walk. And this morning, I was just going to just do the little small roundabout around the barns, but I was like, you know what? Let's go for the walk. Let's do the actual walk. And that was decided because I didn't close the gate
Oh, so
down to the creek. So
they were like,
it just kind of happened. And Winston was full of energy. Levi was, you know, he wasn't as full of energy as normal, but he was still having fun. So we're walking down to the creek, and instead of going down to the creek, we then turned left onto the old road that leads to the grill. What is it called?
Mill.
The grain mill site.
Or the river, or wherever.
Yeah, if we go, that'll lead us to the river. So, about a quarter of the way in, Winston, all three dogs were with me, Winston decides that he's going to start going up the hill. So basically, when we're heading towards the grain mill site, to our right, down slightly is the creek, and to our left is a very big hill that leads to kind of the highest point of our property and to an area that we really have never explored.
We've never been back there.
Yeah, it's very dense and very and rocky
cavernous.
and cavernous.
Yeah, it's a little treacherous because we've gone back there and we've decided no.
Yeah, well, we didn't have protection, and
we had all the dogs. Well, at the time it was Floyd and Kinsley, and Winston was still a puppy.
Yeah.
So it was like,
yeah.
And we don't know once we get back to that portion of the river access that we have, if it's just a sheer cliff, like how dangerous it might be for the dogs. So we were just like, and we didn't have them on leash, so it was like, we're not going to. So we haven't been, and that's obviously been, Floyd's been gone for what, 2 years now?
Well, we've been here for 3 years. We haven't been to the last, I would say, 5 acres.
At least.
Maybe even 10 acres of
like
our
10,
property. Yeah. Never seen it. So anyway.
Never seen it, yeah.
So Winston decides to go
that way.
Take a left, go up the hill. And he's just kind of sniffing around, just doing his thing, but he keeps gradually getting farther and farther away. Meanwhile, Kinsley and Levi were with me. And I was like, you know what? Let's just go. Let's just go that way. Why not?
Let's go up a hill.
Let's go up a giant hill.
I'm glad I wasn't with you.
Yeah. So Levi, Kinsley, and I start climbing up this giant hill. And of course, the dogs are much better at climbing hill because they got 4-wheel drive than this bipedal humanoid here. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm just kind of making my way up there, trying to not slip and stuff. And again, this is an area that we've kind of been around, but I've never physically walked this path before. And we get to a little indentation. It's a little indentation, but this indentation is like somebody had taken a backhoe and created a trench that went really far down, like it was trying to capture water from runoff from this hill, right? And I look in this trench. It's not deep at all, and there are just tons of metal pieces, metal piping bent. It's like an old frame to something. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, like a new dump site, but not like a big dump site. So I'm just kind of looking at the stuff, whatever. And the dogs are just sniffing around and doing their thing. And I said, all right, well, let's keep going. So I keep going up the hill, and I see this area where it looks like it's kind of a drop off. What the heck is that? And I'm just kind of looking around. Meanwhile, the dogs are kind of each going their own way. Well, I keep climbing, and Levi and Kinsley keep following me, but Winston decides that he's going to start kind of heading back towards the path and whatever. So he's like, I'm kind of done climbing. That's fine. So I'm climbing. I get kind of to this crevice, or the top area, and I see the neighbors behind Rita and Howie. So I'm now to the point where I can see the neighbor behind Rita and Howie and all of their new construction that they're doing.
The 90 acres that they
the
bought.
90 acres that are back there, yep. And so I'm pretty certain I know where I'm at. And so I just keep going, and I see this other cool area I want to go explore, and all these really cool down trees and whatever.
And there's really pretty views up there. Gorgeous views.
Yeah, and I'm getting really high. I'm like, okay, I must be at that, like, one of the higher points of our property. And dogs are mostly with me, kind of the two dogs, Levi and Kinsley. And then I'm kind of plateaued at this point, and I'm like, wow, this would be a really cool area to build. Like, this is, I didn't know we had this on the property. This is really, really cool.
In the neighbor's property?
No.
Okay.
And so I look over to my left, and all of a sudden there's a fence. Well, this is weird. Why am I on the other side of a, what fence is this? I shouldn't be anywhere near a fence. What the heck? And I look over, and there's a field. I'm like, wait a second. We don't have a field. Where in the world am I? And I'm looking around, and I'm looking, and my stomach just drops. I have no idea where I am. I'm like, where? Oh my gosh, where in the world am I? So I'm looking, so Kinsley's right next to me, but Levi is now gone. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Like, okay, so I get out my phone, and I get out Google Maps, and I put a satellite image on, and I'm churning to see which way home is. Yeah, sure enough, I had made it to another neighbor's property, and I had taken Levi and Kinsley with me. Somehow I crossed over our fence, our boundary fence. Had no idea because it was so trashed down and pushed and logs and leaves and whatever. Oh no. So I look, and I was like, okay, I'm on Howie and Rita's property.
Back property? That's what I was
And of
wondering.
course they have a nice area to build a new house. Like, this would have been a really great area. I was like, okay, well, shoot. Okay, all right. So for about 5 minutes, I had no idea where I was. And I was a little bit like, I now see how people get lost in the woods. This is my own backyard, and I have no idea where I am. So I call Rita. She's like, hey, neighbor, what's up? I said, well, I just want you to know, somehow I went for a walk with the dogs, and somehow we made it to your property, and I have no idea where Levi is. Levi may be on your property. And she's like, oh, okay, well, you want us to help you look for him? I said, yeah, please do, please do. She's like, my dogs are in the house locked up, we're fine. Okay, good. Said, call me if you find him. And so I immediately start calling for Levi, immediately, right? And he's not coming. Oh dear. So about 2 minutes into it, so I cross back over to, I finally orientate myself and see, okay, this is our fence line, this is their fence line, this is where I crossed over. Okay, I know where I am now. I know we're on our property. So I cross over to our property, and I'm calling Levi, and within 2 minutes, he comes over and he's like, what? What's going on?
Yeah, he doesn't know boundaries.
No, he doesn't know boundaries. Like, but he came, which is great. So I called Rita. She didn't answer. I texted her. I said, I have Levi. Didn't hear anything. And so I start walking back, and kind of walk back a different direction than I thought I was going back the original direction I just came, but I didn't. And there's this huge dip in our property.
Yeah.
Huge 30-foot down
crazy.
Dip, and there's just tons of debris in there. And I don't remember seeing this, but there are like HVAC covers, there's big barrels, there's tractor parts, like there's all this metals back there.
It's a huge dump pile. That's where the day before Floyd passed, that was where him and I and Winston and you were gone. But that's where I was, and I kept saying, oh, there's some beautiful points, but man, there's some scary dips and
It was
trash.
a big dip. Yeah.
There was some, again, we don't go back to that part of the property because it's right now, obviously we have enough to focus on than finding new projects.
So it's just now Levi, Kinsley, and I, and we're slowly making our way back. And I generally know where I'm going to end up. Either I'm going to end up over by the 1920s barn, or I'm going to end up on the path, which then I can go back up. So we make our way over towards the 1920s barn, and then I hear Rita and Howie on their mule, their ATV or side-by-side, and I make it over to the red barn, and I close the gate, and I see them making their way up towards where I was, where I got lost. And I called him. I said, "Hey, I'm right behind you. I see you guys. Is that both of you?" She goes, "Yeah. We're just checking out the fence." I'm like, "Okay." So kind of explained where I was, and so later on she texted me. She said, "Hey, we fixed the fence." I'm like, "Oh wow, that's great," because that was a lot of work to fix that. There's a lot of buried fence there. But anyway, yeah, that was crazy. I got lost on my own property.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's how her dog got to our property, because they couldn't figure out how one of their dogs got onto our property, and they're like, where in the, because we thought we had fixed the majority of the fence line, but once you get really far back onto both of our properties, we only went probably up to the top of the hill, and then it goes probably another 150 to 200 feet or 300 feet before.
Oh yeah,
at least.
Oh, you're talking like when we're at the top of our hill on our fence line, their boundary is right here, and then we have to go down and back up to the peak. Oh, it's probably another 1,000 feet.
Okay, so yeah, we didn't do that last 1,000 feet. We didn't. The guys, the fence repair guys, we didn't have them do that back portion because we very rarely ever go back there and very rarely allow the dogs access back there.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna have to go and walk that without the dogs if we can, to see how much fence line is exposed. I definitely don't want them going over, accessing the 90-acre people, because they don't know us at all.
Right.
We've met them once, and they don't know our dogs. And
yeah, because even though the backs of our properties touch, the fronts of our properties are very, very far apart from each other. Different roads, and so they're not close neighbors, even though the backs of our properties touch. It's kind of a weird adjacency with some of the properties that ours touch. It's like we're not, besides Rita and Howie, we're not really close, like physically close.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my adventure for the day. Way more adventure than I had planned in the morning. Yeah. It's a cool area. Some really, definitely some cool viewpoints that would be up there. You have to clear some trees and stuff.
It's a little ominous back there, though, too, because, I mean, you're deep in the woods back there. I mean, there's no houses around you. There's nothing. No. There's a river behind you at some point, and you could hear the animals, and there's so many down trees.
So many down. In fact, the peak where I got, there were so many down trees. It's like where the wind blows, it just circles there and just pushes everything down. They're huge trees that are just downed up there. Like, man, that'd be really good, firewood or lumber or whatever. But getting it out of there would be it'd
be very difficult.
Yeah, very, very expensive and difficult, time consuming, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there we go. Were you entertained?
Yes.
Were you guys entertained?
Probably more than I was.
Yeah. When you said, were you on the neighbor's property? I'm like, no, don't guess the story.
Sorry. Well, I just know, because I've been up there and with the dogs, and I knew that the fence was, because of all the down trees, I knew the fence kind of ebbed and flowed with being intact up there. And I remember getting kind of turned around, and depending, because I obviously know the property a little bit better than you all do, but I know exactly, like, if he's telling me he's coming up from almost the mill site area and going up versus going by the 1920s barn, you can go both ways, and I have gone both ways. And I know that at one point it gets real confusing of whose property am I on, because I walked our fence line from the 20s barn, and I walked our property line up, and that was when I still had the software for the property, the boundaries from when we were property searching. And again, this was 2 years ago that I was up here with the dogs by myself. And it got to the point where I was like, and I kept dropping pins, and I would send them to you, like, hey, this is a really cool, and I'd send you videos and pictures, because he was in Portland. And, just in case somebody knows where I'm at, even though you're in Portland, you could reach the neighbors if something happened, or if you didn't hear from me. But it was just really interesting, because all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, wait, I think I'm not on our property anymore. Oh, I am, but just barely, and it was really easy to get kind of off. And I've gone up both ways and come down both ways, if that makes sense. So, and they kind of just meet, and it's almost like a perfect corner, just like our barns are directly across from each other, and our houses are directly across from each other. You don't realize it until you start to learn the property of how almost everything on this property is a triangle.
Yeah.
If that makes, it's so weird. It's like almost everything is.
What threw me off was when I saw the field, my left vision was like, we don't have that field. I really thought that field was the field that is next to the creek on the other property. The one that the dogs, yeah, where the dogs that's why I had to fence the dogs in. I was like, how in the world did I get over here? Like,
that would have been very strange.
Oh yeah, no, it would have been very strange. I'm like, how am I seeing that? So I got really disoriented and confused. I just took out the map and was like, okay, oh my gosh, I'm on Howie and Rita's property. Whew. Like,
yeah, I was like, if you would have, because the other property he's talking about is on the opposite side of our property. It's
going the opposite direction as the mill site.
Correct, yeah. It's on the opposite side of the creek as the mill site.
Yeah.
So that would have been very strange.
Yeah, so, well, I guess long story short is I'm not going hiking in the woods by myself anytime soon.
And I was just sleeping away.
Yeah, so. All right, well, that is it for me today.
All right.
That's all I got. I got no more stories. Tomorrow, Jim's coming over.
Sweet.
Do some more work. It's going to be awesome.
I'm going to sell one more group of chickens.
Good. Good. It'll be your first sale of the year.
First sale of the year. Even though I didn't plan on it, somebody wanted a trio, and I had plenty of the roosters, and I was willing to get rid of 2 of the hens that I was going to keep. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. I can figure it out without those 2 hens. So.
Yes.
Just because I don't, if the rooster has a chance of having a home in a flock rather than going into a crock pot, I'd much rather do that. So.
Sounds good. Mm.
So we'll have tomorrow or Friday or Saturday, we'll have our first sale of the year.
Sweet. Good. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care.